11 p.m. here on the East Coast in the United States, 6 p.m. in Israel, 5 p.m. in Europe, and anywhere you are, please guess your time. But welcome to this Sports Tech Demo Day. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our investors, our startups. Before we jumped into the core topic of today's discussion, which is going to be the pitch of the startups and the discussion with investors, let me just walk you through the format of the event. So we got 6 startups on the line, 5 investors. The event is going to last approximately 60 minutes, 3-minute pitch per startup. We'll be sending my colleague, Tomer, which is also a professional referee, will be sending a time notification on the chat when you have 1 minute left, and we'll be whistling the end of your pitch when the 3 minutes comes. Same rules apply for everyone. And then we'll jump onto a 5-minute Q&A with our lineup of investors that I'm going to introduce in just a second. Startups are expected to answer shortly. The shortest you answer, the more time you get to answer more questions. And then at the end of the event, we'll do a roundtable with our investors, and they will pick their top 3 of the day, which should allow us to elect the top pitch of the day and the winning startup of this third edition of our demo day. So today we're very much lucky to have on the line a great lineup of judges, investors, angel investors that I'm going to introduce. Michael Perlman, Michael from Scrum Ventures and Sports Tech Tokyo. Always a pleasure to have Michael on the line. You know him, it's been there with us for the first 2 demo days. Welcome, Michael, pleasure.
Thanks.
We're also lucky to have Diana Melencio on the line, VC at Wise Ventures based in New York City. Diana, lucky to have you with us today. Benjamin, also with us on this lineup of judges. Benjamin, co-founder of Ballpark and CEO, also angel investors and serial entrepreneur in the sports tech space. Benjamin, it's an honor to have you with us today. Cal Bunch, Cal
Thanks.
From RGA, RGA Ventures. Cal, also heading the Global Sports Venture Studios over there. Cal, also an honor to have you with us. We can't wait to hear your insights on the startups. And then we have Eze Vidra from Reimagine Ventures, managing partners at this VC firm based in Tel Aviv. Eze, always a pleasure to have you on the line with us.
Thank you.
And this lineup of judges will be hearing pitches from a great selection of startups. Those are the 6 companies that we've selected for this edition of the demo day out of dozens of applications. If you're a startup on the line, please feel free to apply for our next editions. We try to fit as many startups as possible in our demo days to give exposure and a stage to portray the solution. So we'll be introducing them in a second, but we got Athlete AR, Fanisco, Sportable, Newstream, Goalie, Fun with Balls from all corners of the world in different verticals of the sports tech base, and we can't wait to hear their pitches. Before we jump right into the core of the event, I wanted to share the word about Winnerize. Winnerize is the largest global sports tech platform. We've released it a couple of months ago. Please sign up, it's free, join the community. You can get access to more than 3,000 startups, 700 investors, and so on. All the key stakeholders of the industry are there, join the movement. Also, wanted to pass it on to and introduce my colleague Tomer, which will be introducing shortly the first startup, and then give the stage to Ronnie from Athlete AR to pitch. Please, Tomer.
Thank you very much, team. So happy to have all of you with us. And our first startup is from Israel. As you know, we are not a sports nation, but we are a sports tech nation. Athlete VR changing the way the crowd can see the ball inside the game. And Ronnie, you ready? You're just on mute, so perfect.
Okay, I'll appreciate if you could just allow me to share my screen.
You have it already on the green button.
Yeah, okay, well, what's going on here?
And now.
Sorry about that. Okay, let's go. Oh, that's the first one. Okay.
Perfect. So,
okay, great.
3 minutes. Good luck.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Ronnie. I'm with Athletar. And we believe that Athletar can make a revolution in the way that people watch sports online. And I think that the market is huge. Sorry. So the basic challenge in watching in small screens is that it's very difficult to follow the players, to follow the ball, to follow the pack. And our platform takes streaming video and is capable of detecting the interesting stuff such as the, sorry, I'll mute that because it's very high. To detect stuff like the puck in the hockey game and other player numbers, etc., and display in a way that's suitable for watching on small platforms. It also can work on smart TVs, etc. But basically, we are targeting users that want to watch the sports in a small platform. What we're seeing right now is the output of the software, the client side of the software that we've developed, and that's an application that sits in the smartphone or other mobile platforms. Now I'll stop sharing and come back to the. I'll share the again the presentation. So how do we do it? Basically, what we do is we take the broadcast video without the need for special cameras or markers on the player, markers on the puck or ball. And we use machine learning to detect moving relevant objects. And then that sits at the broadcaster. And then the broadcaster can stream the broadcast plus our metadata, the Athletar metadata that can be then detected, decoded, and displayed on the smartphones or other smart platforms. We give the ability to the user at the end to decide whether he wants to see the added data that Athletar makes, etc. So we are targeting our beachheads customers actually are the sports broadcasting corporations and sports content providers, just major leagues, etc. Our business model is built on a server-side client application that the broadcaster will buy as a software license for a year. And I see that.
Thank you very much, Ronnie. And we will keep the more information now in the Q&A session. So don't worry, Tim.
Yes, sorry about that. To cut you a little short, Ronnie, but we'll jump right into our Q&A sessions. Maybe first question. Sorry about this. Okay. So maybe first question for Diana. Diana, I know Wise Ventures has been involved in the broadcast space, investing in startups like WAC. Maybe you get a first question for Ronnie.
I do actually. In terms of so it's a pretty crowded space. It's really hard to sell into these broadcasters. The time it takes from the initial meeting to actually implementation is like about 12 to 18 months. So as you think about your go-to-market strategy in terms of communicating why they should work with you, like what is the biggest differentiator when it comes to your business and what your company does?
Okay, first of all, we know that it's crowded out there, and we know that there are other companies that doing similar things, but for different reasons. Our main selling point is that the system doesn't require any infrastructure in the court itself. So we are just building our enhancement and improvements on the video itself. So that's a first differentiator. And the other is that from speaking with people in the broadcasting industry, we see that there is a pull for this type of applications. We see that from a few talks that we've had, that there is interest and there is demand, because we are quite different, actually.
Maybe
I have one more follow-up question, if I can. So as like sports betting becomes a bigger part of sports in general, and as becomes legal in the U.S., how do you think? I think there's, on one of your slides, there's a latency to the technology, right? So how?
Okay. Regarding the latency, it's added at the head end, really, at the broadcaster side. So the customers who are watching over the top or regular broadcasting, they are still, they will not notice this type of lag. So maybe there will be a lag in comparison to the person that's sitting in the actual sports stadium, but not between people that are watching online. Okay, think of it as the data we are sending along with the broadcasted video is just like the subtitles in the video. So the subtitles don't add bandwidth, and we don't add at the channel itself. We don't add latency over there.
All right, Ronnie, before we jump into the next question, can you please stop sharing your screen so that we can see the...
Okay, sorry about that.
Thank you very much. Michael, maybe a question for Ronnie.
Yeah, I had a question about the latency too, so thanks for covering that. I think the other point I wanted to bring up is just to understand, how big of a problem is this? You reference the fact that, you talk to broadcasters and they mention this technology being an enhancement or something that would be a nice to have. Do you have any kind of quantitative research or insights to kind of really expose what kind of inefficiencies you're addressing?
Okay. First of all, we are comparing ourselves to companies that sell software products to broadcasters. So it's always a license-based. Now we know that it will be difficult, perhaps at the beginning, to sell a license for a long period of time. Maybe it will be on a game by game basis, perhaps something that's easier for the broadcaster to find a budget for it.
Yeah, and I guess to that point, I mean, from a pricing perspective, it's hard to price something if you don't understand, in some cases, what the market is. And what the kind of delta in terms of incremental value you're adding. So, have you thought about kind of how you're going to price it?
Yes, at first, like I mentioned before, we are comparing ourselves to similar companies that are selling software to broadcasters, and yes, it's pretty much difficult to. One model could be some kind of revenue sharing or a per end client subscription or something like that. But people at the end of the day are willing to spend a lot of on services related to sports and to buy premium channels, etc. I think there is a demand for these types of solutions in that part.
Ronnie, thank you very much, but we must continue to our next startup, Fanatico. Fanatico transformed the way to connect and communicate with the fans through mixed reality. And Satish is here with us.
Hello, everyone. Let me share my screen.
Perfect. You have it.
Just
So 3 minutes, the floor is yours. Good luck.
all right. Hi, everyone. My name is Satish Chiribabu, and I'm the CEO, co-founder of Fanisco. We are a digital fan engagement and analytics company. We help drive digital transformation for the sports organizations. Yesterday's diehard sports fans are aging, and today's fans are all digital. And that poses a new problem for the sports teams because they have to know who the digital fans are, and so that they can engage and retain them, and as well as monetize from them. And COVID brought the sports industry to the knees, and with the digital fan engagement, sports teams will be able to kind of identify them better and retain their fans. Fanisco offers a B2B plug-and-play digital fan engagement platform that helps the sports organizations to identify who their high-value fans are, engage them wherever they are and whatever they use, retain them through mixed reality interactive experiences, and monetize them through sponsorships, activations, and commerce. Our platform, we look at it more from a platform perspective because sports organizations are not like a really high-end tech savvy from a fan engagement standpoint. Our platform offers a variety of activations such as gamification. The sports organizations can run simple gamifications from trivia to in-game prediction gamification. And we also have augmented reality activations and games. And we also kind of building a new one called Digital Fan Broadcast, where fans can broadcast their experiences, their cheers or celebratory moments from wherever they are, such as like their couch or the bars, and which can be broadcast into the team's channels or even the broadcasters. And above all, everything boils down to a rich back-end analytics, which helps the sports organizations to understand fan behavior, measure sponsor ROI, and tie the data together for everything. We started, from $0 in 2018, and now we are making a $30 revenue, average monthly revenue, and we are looking to grow that to more, higher MRR in the coming few months. And we have been consistently recognized as a top global startup company from Techstars to Startup Bootcamp and the Trickstar Partners and others. And currently, our current portfolio includes, some of smaller teams and one or two big teams. So we are sports agnostic, so we operate at a global perspective. We are headquartered in the US. And some of the results we have seen is using our technology as our platform, the teams are able to increase the retention of the fans and get the engagement with the fan, increase the engagement with the fans. Which is a positive thing from these teams' perspective as they kind of struggle and move into the digital transformation.
Thank you very much. And we will move to the Q&A session.
All right, let maybe the sentence about the ask so that people are aware for the investors.
Perfect.
Yep, our ask is $2 million of funds, Series A, which will help us to increase our sales and marketing to add more clients to our roster.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Satish, and we'll jump right into
I think Tim got stuck.
Oh, yes.
Did you lose him?
So, Michael, can you start, please?
Yes, I can. Sorry about that. I had to unmute myself. So you're raising a $2 million A round here. Can you talk about kind of the funds you've raised to date, the seed, and kind of how you've been able to allocate that?
Sure. We have raised close to $1 million in our seed round with family and friends round. So that has helped us to kind of build the product, add some few clients. So now we are in that trying to cross the chasm, get into a growth stage. So we need some funds to kind of help us with that.
Got it.
All right, maybe we got a question.
Just a question here.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. I have a.
Yeah,
I
this
have
is
a
Ben.
question. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to ask. So the space is so crowded, SAT. So I'm just wondering, with your client portfolio, when you're talking to them, what's kind of the key differentiating point that you're selling to them, and what's making them buy into your product?
So one of the things that we differentiate from the crowded space is we approach it from a platform perspective versus a single-use technology. Most of our competitors are offering one of the elements of fan engagement, right? Everything in the broader spectrum of fan engagement, yeah, you can kind of compare it. But when we approach it, we look at our competitors as more complementers, right? Our platform can integrate with their solution as well, but we offer a one platform experience for both the sports executives as well as the fans, so that the experience doesn't change. Because our plug and play, we offer it as an SDK, which can plug into a team's mobile app or on a website or even their social channels. So it kind of offers more, like if they want to offer ticketing or anything else, that can be integrated through our platform and offer it. So some of the high-end activation that we're offering on the front end, our goal is to kind of make it a more self-service, dumb it down, so that anybody can use it at a really cost-effective way.
Maybe we got a question from Kyle.
Yeah, thanks. Thinking about, you talk about the one sort of unified platform. What's your kind of current status of data integration as it relates to the activities and things on that platform, how they tie into a team's consumer data platforms and CRM and the rest of kind of their membership strategy?
Yeah, that's a very good question, right? So we create these front-end activations that increases the engagement level of fans. So that gives us the data from that, and we tie it in the back end with existing data like ticketing, with if they have a ticketing partner or a CRM or a merchandise partner and all, right? So we are able to kind of merge the data and provide them an analytics dashboard, which gives them a complete 360 view of who their high value fans are. Even from social, right? We can kind of integrate with social data. So it kind of ties everything together to give them one holistic view of, is my fan who bought a ticket, is he active in the, is doing these activations or not, right? So we are able to stitch the data together, which gives a better insight for the teams to look at their fan behavior and understand them.
All right, maybe we got some time for a last question from Ezra. You've been very much active in the gamification of folks, so.
Sorry, it's easy.
Easy.
I wanted to ask, how do you, from what you've built so far, what have you seen got resonance with customers? So from all these AR integrations, what do people do on the platform, and do you require a download for them to engage with your product, or is this web AR?
We offer both. So that's why we want to engage fans. You cannot change the fans' behavior, tomorrow, right? So you have to engage fans wherever they are. So be it social, be it web, or be it app. So our technology is a white label plug and play, which integrates nicely into an existing team's digital assets. So whatever their experience are, they want to publish it, they can publish it, and it can, activate in all channels. So if the fan is already using a Teams app, they're going to have this experience in the app. So they don't have to install another app or go somewhere else, nothing. It's all going to be contained within the Teams digital assets.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. Easy. I apologize for that again. And Satish for this question. So we'll be moving to our next startup, SPORTABLE. Tomer?
Yes. So our next startup, as we know, the data changed the world of sport, and we see more and more solutions to give us more data around the players, the ball. And I see some rugby fans in the crowd, so I'm sure they want to hear you. So Douglas, we're happy to have you with us.
Excellent. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Brilliant. Okay, well, I'll crack straight into it. So SPORTABLE is solving one of the biggest problems in the contact sports market, namely that there is no way to accurately and effectively quantify skill of the best players and teams. Why is skill so important? Well, without it, teams lose games and leagues lose fans, and that leads to billions of dollars in lost commercial opportunities every year. SPORTABLE is uniquely placed to take advantage of this problem, Simply put, we make hardware and we sell data. We have 3 core technologies that capture data. We have a smart ball. With this, we tell teams and leagues how good players are at passing, kicking, and throwing. We have a player tracking device that tracks players to centimeter level accuracy. That'll tell you about player and team behavior. And then we have an impact wearable, and this will tell you how good you are at tackling, scrummaging, and more stories around player welfare. So once we have that data from ball and the data from player, we then wrap that up in fun machine learning applications. We turn that into actionable insights for our various stakeholders, and then we license access to those insights on a recurring subscription model to teams. We sell performance analytics and scouting applications anywhere between £12,000 and £90,000 a year, depending on the suite that we are selling. And then to leagues, we sell them data packages that they then sell on to betting companies, broadcasters, or sponsors, and anywhere between £5,000 and £20,000 per game, a bit like Hawkeye in tennis. We are revenue generating, and we have great traction in rugby. We've signed over £105,000 worth of deals with big brand names in rugby, including Leicester and Bath. We're currently negotiating a pipeline of about £1 million with other teams and leagues. And we have a total sales pipeline in rugby over 3 million today. How does this stack up in terms of a market opportunity? Well, the contact sports market, as we define it, is our sweet spot. There's no reason we couldn't go beyond that. But in the key markets that we've identified, rugby is where we'll incubate the product, export it into bigger markets like American football. And to football, we have great traction in American football with 6 teams signed on high schools on pre-programs and a partnership with Wilson in development. How do we protect this competitive advantage? Well, we have exclusivity with Gilbert until 2023. They have 95% of the world's rugby ball market share, which gives us a lockout on that market until 2023. We have an extensive portfolio of patents and trade secrets. We've worked out that we have a minimum of a 2-year head start of our closest competition, Connection and Shot Tracker, and we've already proved the brand name and product market fit around this idea of developing skill in contact sports. In terms of the breakdown, we're going to do it in 2 parts, 650,000 now at a lower share price. This gets us to our critical revenue that most VCs will want to see. On the back of that, close out our full Series A, which will then take us through to break even and start our pilot programs in football and American football. We've got a great team. Our founding team are all.
Thank you very much, but we will keep the team for the Q&A session. Team.
Thank you very much, Dougal. Thank you. Yeah, I think we got the most important information here, and we'll keep the questions for the investors. Maybe first question from Benjamin on the line with us.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I was on mute. I just had a question. So in terms of putting technology into balls, what are some of the regulations around that?
So leagues are different, but what happens is most leagues the manufacturers are self-certifying. So the governing bodies like World Rugby and Rugby have a generic spec that they have that everyone must meet in weight, pressure, and size. And then your various manufacturers just fit into that spec, and they have their own designs. So everything is effectively self-certified, and we build around the manufacturer's specs, not the governing body specs.
Got it. Okay.
Any question from Diana?
Hey, Dougal, nice to see you.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah, I would love to hear, I think we spoke last year, what your progress has been to date in terms of your inroads into American football. You mentioned you were in 6 high schools. Have you spoken to anyone on the collegiate or pro level?
Yeah, so we've got a good relationship that we're developing with the Packers, and that's kind of evolved over the last year, which is interesting as they see a big hole in kind of the data provision at the performance level, where on one hand you have very sophisticated tracking technology at match day, but the sum total of performance technology in the training ground is limited to either fitness analysis with the catapults and stat sports, and then the manual coding side. So kind of a glaring hole around this skill-based analysis. So working with them on a timeline, of course, COVID impacted the progression on that. And then we visited the US to the AFCA conference in January this year, which was really eye-opening for us. But that's where we developed relationships. One of them was with the University of Illinois as part of their partnership program. So at the moment, kind of a little bit waiting for that market to open up before we can kind of kick those programs off.
I had a quick question if there's time.
Yes, for sure, Kyle. Go ahead.
Yeah. What are you encountering in terms of budget challenges, both immediate term and as people are kind of giving you forecasts because of COVID in the moment that we're in right now? I know, like for NRL, for example, took a huge hit and had to raise a bunch of money.
So it's an interesting one. It's like, so on the one hand, you've got COVID has got, shone a big light on the fact that all of these of the rights holders need to be developing really good content strategies and the kind of the value that we bring at that level. At the budget level, of course, heavy restrictions on the elite teams around for lack of ticket sales. And hope a lot of them are talking about a 12-month horizon for that bouncing back. So what we're showing from a strategic perspective is how can we discount now, get as many teams on board as possible where we're covering our cost base, but then in the second year, these teams are committed to paying up again at the market level of what our products are worth. The other interesting silver lining has been that, an area that we hadn't explored too heavily before, which was the school market, was largely unaffected here in the UK. Obviously not dependent on ticket sales. So that's been more about how do they bounce back in terms of when they can play. And digital tools like that actually support socially distanced training. And while a lot of parents and a lot of pupils are attracted to different schools because of their rugby program or their football program, they want to know that their kid isn't just not doing anything for 6 months of the year, that they're actually going to be training some kind of rugby skill sets in the background, but that it's not full on rugby. So it's an interesting place, but definitely seeing the tightening of budgets, but as an opportunity for us to at least get into as many teams as possible and then see the bounce back in the second year.
All right, maybe we get 45 seconds for a last question from Michael, if you have any.
Yeah, I'm just kind of curious on kind of what do the margins look like right now in terms of how you're pitching this and selling this?
So what we would do, so we've got obviously the three hardware pieces to the business is the ball, the player, and the impact. And we can kind of stack those on top. Our first product to market is the ball-based product, which we call Skill Tracker. So focusing on kicking, passing, throwing. We have a tiered structured model. So from £24,000 down to £12,000. And that's still those are still premium prices, but at that you're doing sort of 30, 40% margin in your first year up to 90% in your second year. So at the lowest price of 12,000 at 24,000, it's a lot higher.
Yeah, it's interesting.
All right. Do we have any more questions from Kyle? From
Team,
Z?
we will continue to the fourth.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay. Thank you, Dogo.
Have time for all.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate your time.
Stay with us. And we'll be moving to our fourth startup, Newstream, Tomer.
Yes, so we witness more and more indoor solutions, and Newstream provide tools to track players' performance and give some tips of how to improve the technique. And Boris and Dave is here with us. So Dave. You're here? Amazing. 3 minutes, good luck.
Dave, would you be on?
Dave, you will mute maybe?
Sorry, do you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Excellent. Please don't take that off my time. So my name's Springer. My name's Dave Springer, and I'm VP Biz Dev of Newstream. And so I'm going to start with the challenges that we've identified in basketball clubs is basically in the coaches' lack of time, tools, bandwidth in order to train players on a personal level. And then when the players go home to practice on their own, who's to say that they're working on the right drills, let alone if they're doing it correctly. So coaches, managers, and even parents don't have a handle on how their kids are progressing, maybe even regressing. And so Newstream's app and platform gives coaches a tool for mentoring and monitoring players when they train alone. Just as if the coach was with them virtually. And so the coaches create personalized workouts for each player according to what they know about their progress and status. And then the app with AI and machine learning automatically analyzes players' performance according to the coach's KPIs, what he defined previously. And it provides real-time feedback for the player and a report to the coach. And so the coach basically tailors the workout program and sends it to the player's app. The player then sets his smartphone, takes his smartphone, sets it on the surface so that the camera can capture his workout. And then our app provides the feedback and the reports, as I mentioned before. And so the end result is basically clubs turning out better players at a low cost. And managers, parents, they can see their kids' progress, and it's a deeper involvement for the coach. And so our basic market is teams that train players between the ages of 6 and 17, sorry. And our market share, according to the information here, and I can go back to it, is over $300 million. This is a proof of concept that we've developed. I hope you can see all the details. On the kid's body, you can see a skeleton, which the app creates. We know exactly his stance and what he's doing, where the ball is, how many dribbles, dribble height, distance between legs, all the key and crucial parameters that need to be monitored so that the coach, when he defines all this, can be monitored automatically by the system. And so our closest competitor right now is Apple's Home Court, which has generic workout drills, not necessarily relevant to each and every player. And with Newsstream, we allow coaches to define workout drills tailored for players based on their knowledge of their needs. We're a B2B business. Basically, teams will pay a license fee, monthly license fee, depending on the number of players.
Dave, thank you very much, but we must continue to the Q&A. We have only 3 minutes. Tim, please lead it from here.
Yes, thank you. Maybe just show the milestone stage. We'll stay on that slide as we're getting questions. Maybe is anyone does anyone have a question for Dave?
Yeah, I'd love to ask. Thanks, Dave. My question is, what's the setup that you need in order to start capturing this data? Like, is it the example that you showed with the basketball? Is it a simple smartphone camera, or do you need special cameras? And then, is there automatic review, or do you need the coach to actually look at it? And where's the personalization part?
Excellent. So the secret sauce is in taking or basically automatically analyzing everything that I've laid out using only the smartphone. So on this platform alone, we are able to automatically analyze the KPIs that the coach has plugged in previously. And so what the coach gets is a fully baked report on how the player performed according to those KPIs.
Thank you.
All right.
Got it. I just have one question here. This is Ben. So I was just curious about the product adoption. So a lot of times with these companies, when coaches actually have to use the product, they don't really know what to do. So it's actually a process of having to train them. Are you having conversations with these coaches, and are you thinking through your UI UX?
Right, definitely. I mean, first and foremost, it's important on this slide, you can see that we already have signed pilot agreements with 4 youth basketball clubs here in Israel. They're very excited about using it. They even know right now they're like design partners, and they know that in the end they're going to pay for it. And regarding coaches, we address the sports director and manager level, and they are going to basically provide the coach with this platform. The coach will be independent. He'll be able to set these KPIs and the workout programs, and the UI UX is being worked on as we speak. It's what I showed you in the POC is just the POC. It's completely naked, so to speak, and we do have a very nice UI UX, which of course is going to evolve and change.
All right, maybe a question from Michael or Diana, if you have any.
I just had a question just as it relates to kind of the competitive landscape. And you mentioned home court, obviously, just given their position now with the NBA as an equity holder, you know, it's a pretty big competitor, especially in the youth space too now. What's kind of your ultimate go-to-market or sales strategy? I know you can kind of go one-to-one, club-to-club, but that doesn't really scale. Where do you see partnership opportunities? Is it for folks like Sport Engine or kind of, I would say, more aggregators in the market?
Definitely. So initially, we are going to be onesies, twosies kind of thing so that we get the market validation. We'll be able to point to clubs that we work with. But then at the later stage, partnerships, of course, and local sales is going to be part of the go-to-market strategy. It's in order to fan out much broader and much quicker.
All right, we got time for a last question. If we got one from any of the investors on the line. Diana, Cal, any questions for Dave?
Yeah, I mean, I think I probably echoing a bit of the last question, just thinking about generally speaking, the U.S. strategy. There's such a potential to try to boil the ocean. On the flip side, I look at the amount of money in the big youth sports, kind of whether it's AAU machines, whether it's the kind of youth sports training academies, Lake Point Sports, and some of these other massive facilities. So, anyways, the question would just be: do you have a strategy around that prioritization of where you put resources and capital and human time?
Right. Well, not as of yet. However, I come from quite a few companies that have succeeded in this in sports tech. One being Pixelot, for example, with partnerships with PlayOn and others around the world. And I see that as a good model to emulate and to copy. So as of now, the short answer is no, but this is in the making, and it is going to be a part of the strategy.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dave, from Newsstream. We'll be moving on to our fifth startup and before last. Goalie, Tomer.
Yes, so Goalie is here with us. Goalie creates digital tools to help managers and sports clubs to save money and time, and two of the most valuable sources. So Tommaso is here with us. Can you share your screen?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Tommy, co-founder of Goalie, and we are the SaaS solution for digitization of sports. And I'm here today to show you why over 500 clubs are using our platform to step into the digital area. Recent studies show that up to 95% of football clubs are still using paper to organize their tasks, have poor online presence, and struggle to monitor sports activities. Most people at the management positions work just for their passion and often on voluntary basis. Right now, they're actively looking for a digital partner that could improve their way of working. And that's why we created Goalie, the one-stop platform for football clubs. It's a simple plug-and-play solution to automate the majority of activities to run a club. It is simple to use, it is for all clubs of any size, and is useful in all the countries. This is how it actually works. We give access to a management software system tailored for the sports world, applications for coaches and athletes on the field, and social tools to manage websites and e-commerces. In one single platform, they work faster, they communicate better, and they earn more money. We launched our SaaS solutions 21 months ago, and we already acquired over 500 clubs, making 180K of revenue and developed 7 products. Our main objective is to reach 10,000 football clubs by 2023. This will allow us to become the European market leader and to become the gateway to thousands of football clubs and over 1 million of athletes. We are ready to do that thanks to our global network of accelerators in Italy, Israel, and Qatar, and our strategic partnerships with the Italian football federations and a series of sports communities. What we're living now is considered a crucial moment And the COVID actually has had an effect of speeding up the process of digitization. Witness of that is our commercial activity. Back in 2019, we signed 16 new contracts in July. 1 year after, last June, we signed 74 new contracts. And in just these 16 days of July, we already signed over 200 new contracts and growing. We're moving, and we're moving fast. We invested the first €1 million to create the team, develop the product, and test the market. Now, we want to go international and to conquer this huge virgin market. And this is why we're looking for a bridge of €500,000 at 7.5 million pre-money valuation. Sports as we know it is underdeveloped, and digitalization is more important than ever. We are Goulet, and we're ready to bring digital transformation to this world. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Tommaso. Perfect timing. We'll jump right into the questions. Maybe one from Diana.
Yeah, I don't know if this is cheating a little bit, but I did take a look at your website, and congratulations on all the traction. I could see why clubs would be really interested because the pricing is really appealing. But based on the suite of products, it appears to be a lot of, like, each team wants different things for their website. Each team wants different things for their coaching. So as you think about this customization, how do you, I guess, deal with the customization aspect that teams desire and then the standard pricing that you have on your website, if that's accurate?
Okay. Yeah, the prices are accurate. So our priority, talking about the prices, our priority right now is to work with all football clubs. So we set the prices that it won't be an obstacle for them to sign up in our membership. Think about that. We're not taking the place of another supplier. We're the first supplier, digital supplier that they will ever add. And second of all, the question was about the customization. Myself and most of the team come from the football world. I've been a football player all my life. I've played in Italy, in Spain, and in the USA. And our goal here is to set an industry standard. So we take the best practices around the world in terms of what website modules of the websites are available and what training sessions and how coaches would like to schedule their trainings. And we put it available for them. We don't work with high customization for a single client, as we understand that also data is very important in this world. And if we would do that, this wouldn't be possible. So we believe that our offer includes almost everything they need.
So I actually have a follow-up question with that, because there's someone just pitched a company about a coaching solution. There's e-commerce solutions. There's website solution. Is your company intending to replace all of that or integrate with them?
Integrate with them. So what we say right now is that these people are hungry for digital tools. And on the market, there is just caviar. And we're selling bread to them. What we've done is not asking them if they wanted to buy a video analysis solutions or an hardware that tracks down better their performances. We're like, what do you have to do during your day? Okay, do exactly the same thing, but on our software. And then so we can spread, it's very scalable this way, and the prices are very low. And then once we'll have 5,000 football clubs, which will mean having 600,000 athletes in our database, direct access to them, then we'll turn on the market and say, okay, so right now, who's got the best technology for video analysis solution? Who's got the best technology for hardware? Would you like to integrate your technology with us? And then we'll follow on that. Our main objective here is to create a distribution channel.
All right. Maybe one question on the internationalization side from Easy, Kyle, Michael, Benjamin.
I guess the inevitable question, obviously football gives you a significant runway and large addressable market. Other sports or a timetable where you might think about other sports, certainly, categories.
Yeah, our platform is already developed to spread also in other sports, as the only thing that had to change are the sports basics. For instance, training sessions, we have all the exercises made for football, but not for basketball. But it's a simple development. And right now we're just focusing on football because we know this market. We have advisors and members of the team that come from this market. And we believe that in 24 months, 18/24 months from now, we'll be able to spread also in a few other sports like rugby, basketball, and volleyball will be the first ones, team sports.
Thank you.
All right, we got 20 seconds for one question. Last question, maybe. Ben, do you have a question for Tommaso?
I would just say, because I actually met Tommaso a few days ago. So Tommaso, it's nice to see you again. But I would just say, back to, great seeing you again. But back to Diana's question. I think that's really maybe the core question. Because I think your platform, I mean, you have so much traction. So really congratulations. It's such great success here early on. But I think your platform does so many things that you don't want to like do everything okay only. I really try and focus in on what are the real pain points that some of these clubs have and really focus on doing maybe even fewer things really well with the platform. Because sometimes the product can do so many things, but none of them that well. And maybe you get away from some of the key pain points. So I would just really focus in on those pain points with the clubs you're working with. That's more of a comment than a question. It just kind of just builds off of Diana's question early on.
Yeah, I agree with that. Will be if you see our competitors, I believe that we are different from them as our sports part is very well focused than any other thing. The rest of it is because we want them to do all their daily tasks in our platform, and it's not such a complex. There are not such complex dynamics that they cannot do.
All right, thank you.
Yes,
Thank you so much, Tommaso, and congratulations on the achievements today with Goalie. We'll be moving on to Fun with Balls. Tomer.
Yes, so less startups. Many people say the new generation don't do enough sports, and maybe it's because the technology. And fans with balls try to use the technology as a weapon, as a tool, and not as a weapon. So, Marcus, happy to have us with you.
Hey, glad to be around. Thanks so much for the invitation. So a couple of friends of mine and I looked at the sports world a couple of years ago, and we realized, okay, there's a big problem. People are not doing enough sports. And it's not necessarily to the fact that sports have gotten worse. It's just that everything else in our world has been getting so much more entertaining and engaging that obviously people don't have the motivation to engage full time and in a sustainable way in sports. So we said, okay, why can't we take real gamification and mix it with real sports? So this is not a Nintendo Wii. This is not like, hey, an app with augmented reality. These real rooms. It's like we always call it a holodeck. There's sensors in a room. We track every person. We track every ball, and that to a very high precision that we can even have our own leagues with prize money because the system is so reliable and so fast that we can actually even put money on it. We started in squash. That was very successful. If you look at this link, you can see a video, a little bit of the newest product that we have. What we do is we basically created a highly addictive and very well-connected system where you can play, train, compete. You can also do entertainment. You log in with your app. Everything is tracked. We see how fast you react. And it starts from very simple, just kids throwing a ball to hit a fish, up to super sophisticated training modules for complete leagues or football clubs. So in squash, we've already just crossed our 55,000 hours played. We have about 40 locations worldwide. We decided to go full international right away because it is a very niche. All the clients that we have are extremely happy, and we've been able to up the revenue per court per month with up to 600%. So we now have some centers in the US. They make $4,900 extra with the same court that they had just by buying our upgrade. The second thing we did is a multi-ball. This is very nice for clubs, for schools, all sorts of locations. It's a very easy to use. You can set it up yourself. It's very reliable. It's stainless steel. You can't hit it. It's waterproof. So everything that might happen in schools, which is crazy, can be met. One other thing that we did is we've been very interested, or a lot of brands came to us and wanted to work with us on a larger scale. So we work with Peugeot, we work with Nike, we work with Wilson, ASICS, all these big brands that see that the addictive level of how we merge these two things into hybrid is obviously a very nice thing for any brand to just put it there and have a great experience. This is some of the brands that we've been working with. we basically sell you the hardware, and then we charge you a monthly fee to operate it. Later on, there's also going to be a marketplace for upgrades, and people can submit their own apps. And we basically try to put the execution of a whole sport onto a platform. So far, we've been doing quite well. It's a little bit slower than we expected in the beginning because the sports world is not known to be like super fast to innovate. We've raised 1.6 million. We have about, this is wrong actually, more than 80 systems around the world active. The best month we had was December, where we had 344K in revenue. And then this guy showed up. So obviously for us, with all the installations and the renovation and whatever, this stopped a lot. We flipped quickly to also develop a home edition, which is now starting to sell quite well. This you can put into your home, garage, sports basement, whatever. Same thing there. Unbreakable, we give 5 years of warranty. It's very, very precise, and it also tracks the whole area in front of the screen.
Thank you very much, Marcus. But we keep the rest of this beautiful.
That's just an outlook. Like it's finished. This is just a teaser here.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, thank you, Marcus. We apply the same rules to everybody, but I think we got the whole information. We'll jump right into the Q&A. Maybe easy. You got a first question for Marcus?
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I'm interested. You mentioned that it's sort of like the combination between sports and esports. Has there been a community developed around this, or at this stage it's mainly sort of like proof of concepts with existing centers? Is there anything competitive or organized, or people competing with each other or online that you can share from your deployment so far?
Yeah, so all the projects, sorry, the projects we have in different sports, they always have their own app where you can compete on leaderboards in real time. We also launched our own league, which led to the Professional Squash Association also investing in us, which is the full hybrid. Unfortunately, the first event would have been end of March in New York, so that had to be canceled. It was very, very bad timing for us. But yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing, is to later on be the rights holder for a whole branch of sports and also have the professional sports on our side or on our platform.
Thanks.
All right, maybe one question from Michael.
Yeah, Marcos, good to see you again. Obviously, you've made a lot of progress here since we last connected. And, you know, I'm impressed by kind of your pivot into more of that, I wouldn't call it home fitness, but kind of that smaller box model. I think one of the challenges I saw, at least initially, is this is an easy product to set up, and it requires a lot of hand-holding and development work there. The self-service model is interesting. So can you talk a little bit more about kind of this newer, kind of more nimble product?
Well, it's exactly like you said. The first products that we had were very complicated. We had to send technicians or our partners. We have 60 partners around the world to actually install and calibrate it. By now, this is a simple plug and play. You need to be able to drill a hole into the wall to actually attach it, and then you plug it on, and it's also the packaging is much improved. Like it's a completely new product, and now we're slowly getting to the point that it's actually a product which could be accepted by consumers. Before that, it was like, you know, it was like between a prototype and a finished product. Now the new multi-ball is very easy.
Yeah, and maybe just as a follow-on there, I mean, obviously looking at the success of just a Peloton, right, model where you have financing available, where there's that hardware, software kind of package subscription model, do you see that taking shape here on the home edition?
Absolutely. We already started working with some leasing providers. We actually just sold 2 today, where people just pay a monthly fee, including everything. So normally you buy the system for the cheapest one is about $4,000, which we're going to bring down to 3 soon. And then you pay a monthly subscription. Now we just say, hey, you're going to pay 229 euros and you get everything. Like you don't even have to do the installation and everything.
All right, maybe a question from Diana or Kyle.
Yeah, just a question. So when I first came into No Fun with Balls, I think it was at Sports Tech Tokyo in San Francisco with Mike. As you think about, you know, what's happening with the pandemic, other than this sort of direct-to-consumer shift, are there any aspects of the business that you've pivoted to sort of address what's happening in the interim?
Yeah, I mean, for us, like I said, the pandemic came at a super, super bad situation. We've learned a lot of markets that we didn't even think about before. We're now starting to install the systems in schools because obviously in Germany, for example, they realized they have to be much more digital with all their students to actually give them more of a responsible approach to using digital media. We're now talking with some Saudi, with the government to actually install the system. So I think for us, it's been, yes, in the first step, everybody moved out of it. They said they're not going to use sports centers. The good thing with us, it's always very wide use. So it's not like a fitness center, you're doing your push-ups and there's the next guy, it's maximum 2, 3, 4 people on the court. And it's always with a lot of space. We even have a Corona game right now where you have to stay a certain distance. Otherwise you get points deducted.
All right. Well, I think that wraps it up perfectly in terms of context. So thank you so much, Marco. Stay on the line with us as we're moving to the conclusion of the event, and we'll ask each our investors and judges to take 1 minute to give a little bit of feedback and try to rank the top, give the top 3 pitches of the day. Michael, you want to start?
Sorry, I was on mute there. Yeah, thanks to everybody who pitched today. Really impressive technology. You know, great group, and thanks again to Tomer and Tim and the Coliseum team for having me. Yeah, I think that my top 3, just, you know, in I wouldn't say in no particular order. I'd say Fun with Balls, Goalie, and Sportable. You know, Marcos, I really like what you've done. You know, you really figured out how to best lean into COVID and make this a solution that can work in the home, as well as kind of other high dense environments where people come together. And I think there's a lot of validity there and a lot of opportunity. On the goalie side, I think I'm impressed by the traction to date. I think you have a good kind of trajectory on where things are heading. And then on Sportable, you know, I do like kind of the data play, and I think there's something there. I know it's early and excited to continue to follow your progress.
All right, amazing. Diana, what's your, I know it's difficult to make a pick between all those companies, but what's your top 3?
I wish I'd gone first because I actually agree with Mike's picks. I really like, I mean, the traction with Goalie is undeniable, and I can see why, because I know what it costs to build a website for a team and all the other functions that they build out. My biggest issue there would be the customization piece. I've invested in a company that did multiple things, was a catch-all platform. And what you'll find as you grow, get into your Series A, Series B, you'll have some scalability issues unless you focus very specifically on one aspect of that business. I like Sportable. I like that they've provided a patented moat around working with the official rugby ball makers. That's huge. So at the very least, they'll capture market share in that league alone before they move on to football and soccer, which are both large addressable markets. And then Fun with Balls, I think you'll have a hard, I think that it's really tough right now because there's no live sports, and frankly, you won't catch me near a gym until there's a vaccine or a live sporting event. But I think the fact that you're able to navigate and diversify your offerings, given what's happening with the pandemic, I also see some data plays and then sponsorship opportunities within the business model that I think makes a lot of sense and has a longer term view. Near term, that might be a little tough from a revenue perspective, but long term, there's a lot of opportunity there.
Amazing, thank you so much, Diana. We'll get the picks of Benjamin.
Yeah, for sure. I'm actually going to echo pretty much Diana and Michael. Pretty much I have the same picks. Yeah, I think Goalie, just the traction like we discussed, but I agree again with Diana. Just you have to figure out, just to stay focused on the key pain points of the customer. Don't try and do everything. Keep in mind that's going to be hard to try and customize it for each client. When it comes to Sportable, I really like your technology and also the data that comes with it. I think it's a big market. It's a big market. Sorry. I think with Sportable, you might have to think a little bit more about what the pricing model is. I had a question there. We didn't go into it, but I'm just wondering, do teams have to get all 3 products when they work with you, or can they just buy one of those products? So I think some more thought around the pricing is important. Fun with Balls. I don't know too much about the business. It sounds like Michael and Diana have worked with you for quite some time, but it sounds like you made some interesting pivots now with COVID. So I give you a lot of applause for that. I guess just one comment on the other three companies, because we haven't spoken about them so much here, but Athlete AR, Finisco, and also Round U. I think those spaces are really crowded right now. So what that means is, I guess on the good side, there are a lot of startups that have made some mistakes. So it's important to do a lot of research and competitor analysis and learn from those mistakes and see how you can really be different and really articulate that value proposition clearly when you're talking to investors or angels, or when you're talking to your customers. Because at the end of the day, you're gonna have to be different in some way, whether it's on the pricing model or on the technology or on the product usability or on the market, the geography. There has to be sort of something very different to make that value proposition clearly stand out. So those are my picks, but thanks everyone today for coming and thanks for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Benjamin. Thank you. Kyle, in 1 minute, what's your top three?
All right. Well, I have to say something different, right?
Right.
So, you know, as much as there is temptation to echo everything, I'm going to set aside fun with balls, mainly because I have seen them a lot of times, loved the pivot, not trying to take them anything away from them, but, you know, echo everything I heard from everybody else. You know, I think definitely Sportable, you know, as I said, I think my biggest concern is the time horizon and just making sure that in the near term, as you run into a lot of, this is absolutely something we should do, but I have all of this triage to play across the rest of the business. Just making sure that you're hunkered down for the near term. It sounds like you've got some strategies to use that actually as an advantage, get through with more people, make that upfront investment to grow those things and demonstrate your value in the current context. So anyways, goalie, same everything people said. I think to me, it's very clear. You've got a coaching product and you've got a business monetization product. And ultimately, I think you lean into one or the other probably is where you can find the most focus while still having a growth opportunity and a bigger part of that pie. And then Athlete AR, my big advice to them, I think the technology is really promising. It is a crowded space. There's a lot of garbage out there, if I'm being totally blunt. That's like a, you know, solution seeking a problem kind of mode. Look at niches to play in, and specifically look at sports that are more likely to go full OTT faster. You know, these big sports are the temptation, but NBA rights and getting to full like OTT and more of that interactivity and a lot of that data is going to take longer because the economics are different. So certain sports that move to OTT faster may let you experiment more, and maybe they're not going to be huge cash cow customers, but can they be the ones that'll really push the limits so that you don't get this long NBA looking at it for 4 years before they do something with it, or, you know, NFL or whoever that client is. So that's my rapid fire thoughts.
Amazing, Kyle. Amazing. Thank you so much. I think those are great insights and takeaways for the startups to take as well. Easy. I think you're going to have to, you know, make the decision here.
Wow. No pressure. Well, I think it's, you know, we're evaluating the pitches, and I think all the pitches were interesting and everybody's working on a real problem and trying to solve a real market need. So kudos to all of you that presented. I would say my number one is goalie. And not just for the traction. I think that you guys are onto something because you're solving a real problem that is a recurring task that, you know, there's a difference between investing in vitamins and painkillers. And this is a painkiller, like people need it, they will buy it and they will remain subscribers. I think you need to start thinking a bit more like an American startup and go global quicker and think about a partnerships strategy where you become like an add-on to another builder, you know, like a Wix or a Shopify. So when they are tempted to go for other solutions, you already have the dedicated solution for those teams. So I would really think about how do you spread this quicker internationally and cross sports, and probably Latin America is a quick extension. So just hire a VP of sales and they would pay for themselves. Fun with balls. I think it's an impressive pitch. The switch to the home fitness market, I think, is the right one. You know, reducing the price and the size is probably something that you will have to do in order to get mass adoption. But also there, I would think about the channel partners where you can sell one to many. So rather than try to do it all direct to consumer, Think about who can you get this into, what retailer can you get into, a Walmart, a Target, can you give exclusivity to a sports retailer and have them push a lot of merchandise so you can start doing some sales without necessarily waiting for direct to consumer and spend a lot of money on ads. I'll do a little bit different. I think Sportable, you guys were great, but everyone already gave you feedback, and I'll go with the news stream, the basketball. I think it's interesting to do it from the phone. There's solutions out there require a high setup cost and expensive cameras to do skeleton detection, etc. It would be much more interesting if you went beyond skeleton and did 3D capture of the body. There's libraries out there with open source that enable you to do it right now with some degree of accuracy. And I would consider for you guys to also go direct to consumer because people are willing to pay for stuff to improve, and home fitness is of course rising. And I think going through teams, especially junior teams that have limited budgets and sort of like you'll be stuck in POC land for a while, is a bit tricky, especially given the stiff competition you have in the space. So I would test out also a consumer market, or at least like a reseller market where someone is giving a rev share for people selling licenses to their club for people to improve at home. That's it.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Easy, for this amazing wrap up. And I think we do have a tie between the two winners of the day. So it's going to be goalie, obviously, great traction. Well done, goalie, for the achievements to date. And as Easy mentioned, I think, going global fast is going to be key here. And then, of course, fun with balls for the amazing also a pivot for during this COVID crisis. So we'll be awarding the pitch of the day title to both of these companies, and of course, thank all the other startups that pitched today, great pitches. Actually, we'll be featuring all the winners of the Sports Tech Demo Days in a specific session, our upcoming 2020 first half report. If you're an international startup and you'd like to be featured in the report, we also have promotional packages available, so please feel free to reach out to Fernanda. This report will be issued in August and tackle really what happened during this first half of the year, which all the pivots and the new trends that we've been witnessing. Again, inviting you to join Winnerize. It's free to sign up, join the community, build your profile, helps get exposure both to investors, communities, and so many more. And then, yeah, obviously, I just want to be thanking you, saying that we're going to see you next August. This is a format we're hosting on a monthly basis. I want to thank here all the investors on the line, Cal, Diana, Michael, Easy, Benjamin. Thank you so much for your time and for joining us, and all the startups that pitched with us today. Thank you very much, all. See you next time, and stay safe out there.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much, guys. Great job.
Bye-bye.